take your camera everywhere. Everywhere. This thing has been with me for years, and it's probably my closest friend. Isn't that sad? It's an extension of me. This camera is part of me, and I am part of this camera. It's very heavy, so I'm going to put it over here. See, as a cinematographer, you have to go to the gym often. Hello, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nuri, and I'm a freelance director, cinematographer, originally from London and now based in Detroit, Michigan. And today we are talking about taking your camera everywhere. Essentially, what I want to talk about today is reconnecting to the passion of your craft. And I feel like as freelance cinematographers, directors, filmmakers, essentially, when we are getting paid for our jobs, when we are using our craft and our passion to essentially fund our lives and make a living, sometimes you can forget exactly why you got into this craft and exactly why you connected to this passion in the first place. I feel like for every freelance cinematographer, there are stages, at least for many of us. I can say for myself, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, I feel like the first stage of a freelance filmmaker is what I call the DSLR stage. That's when you have a 5D or a 7D you have access to. In my case, it was a 7D followed by a Sony A7S, and you have a full-time job and you decide to jump into freelance filmmaking on the side. And when a client calls you and says, hey, I need a video for my business or my charity or whoever it is, and offers you £300 to do a video, in your brain you're like, okay, £300 for a Saturday off to film, that's worth it for me. On top of my salary, I'll take it. Of course, really, it's not the Saturday you're giving to the shoot. You are essentially giving your Saturday, your Sunday for editing, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evening, and then Thursday, Friday evenings for revisions. So essentially you've made £300 off almost 6 days of work. We've all been there when we were starting off. We didn't value ourselves, we didn't value our crafts, and we didn't value what we can do, and we did not understand or have a good understanding of the value of what we do, plus industry standard pricing and a sense of professionalism about our craft. Moving forward, as we excel in our craft, and I remember January 2021 was the first month where I decided that I will jump into the abyss of a full-time freelancer, no longer relying on a salary, no longer relying on an employer, but instead relying on clients who I can work with either on a retainer basis or project to project in order to make a living. And even then, it was only 3 years ago now, I was severely undercharging. I severely underestimated how much I should be charging. I severely underestimated how I should be going about taking clients and taking on work. But thankfully, I reached a place about 2 years ago when I moved here to the United States from the UK, where I really had a good understanding of what a cinematographer should charge and how he should go about getting work and the kind of clients he should take and the kind of clients he should drop. Understanding what projects out there you can add value to while also increasing your craft, increasing the value of your product, plus improving the gear that you work with as well. Why do I mention all this? Because I got to a place at a certain point where I decided, rightfully so, that I'm only going to accept projects that are not only of a certain budget, but also of a certain type of client, of a client that is willing to pay industry standard for a cinematographer, but also of a client that sees the value in what he's paying for. Generally, if a client cannot see my value or see the value of what he's paying for, then I am no longer interested in working for him, just because I feel that as a bad relationship to start with. There's no point in doing a job where the client doesn't see your value and where you yourself do not feel valued. It's not a good relationship. So I feel like at this stage in my career, I've really begun to understand what my value is and what I can give to a client and to a project. Now I feel like that my mindset is in a great place business-wise when it comes to the clients that I'm taking on, the packages that I'm offering as well, and again, understanding my value and how much my value is worth based on what I'm offering and also based on what the industry standard of pricing is for a cinematographer. However, the challenge lies, I found, in the way I also begin to subconsciously approach these projects. Deep down in my mind, I'm not taking my camera out of my bag unless a project is worth my time. And this honestly comes from a place of feeling like I've been misused by clients, underpaid by clients, and undervalued essentially by previous clients. So unknowingly, my mindset kind of became, to put it bluntly, if it pays properly, my camera comes out. If not, it stays in the bag. And that also extends to, in some ways, whenever I have a shoot, which is a good thing and a bad thing, that when I reach location, before I take my camera out the bag, I enter the location, I check the location out, I use my phone, for example, to understand how my frame is going to be, and I unpack my lighting first before anything else, making sure that my lighting is set up before I even touch my camera, which I think is also a good thing because it forces me to have a good understanding of light and not just camera only and framing only. I think light is very important, if not sometimes more important than your framing. But and here's the point I want to get at. I also feel like I almost lost that connection, that close connection that I had with my camera, which is why I got into this in the first place, to pick up my camera and start filming things. And it's very tough for someone who does this for a living to kind of try and separate the business side of it from the passion side of it. You know, essentially, like it or not, whenever you press record, you should be in some way making money. And I'm not saying I'm throwing all that away. That still exists in me because it is my job essentially to be a cinematographer, a filmmaker, to create videos for clients, be they businesses or non-profits or whatever, be it a documentary or a brand film or a commercial, whatever it is. My job is video production. That's what I do. But one thing I've started to do recently, and I'm really happy that I made the decision, is to just start taking my camera with me everywhere I go. Obviously, I don't mean everywhere I go. What I mean is that I've started to dedicate time to taking my camera out and just filming, be it to the local park, be it on travels, be it when it's snowing, for example, or when it's raining. I've just committed to dedicating time to taking my camera out and about and just filming stuff. And really, I think it's essential for anyone who is a freelance filmmaker to do this. Why? Because it really helps build your craft. You know, as freelance filmmakers, we are constantly looking for ways to improve our craft. We are constantly looking for ways to elevate what we do, to elevate the video we put on screen. And more often than not, that elevation does not come in client work, because when you get a client and you're making a video to make them happy, sometimes the last thing you want to do is experiment and mess around with different types of filming and editing and coloring that you haven't really tried before, which is why taking your camera out and filming things of your own accord can be a great excuse to try and elevate your craft, to experiment with new looks, to experiment with new flows of editing, to experiment with new types of coloring. Even with this footage right now that you're seeing, I have essentially locked on to what I call, you know, a beautiful film-like look, but I never would have discovered that look if I hadn't been taking my camera out and filming. This also extends to passion projects as well. You know, I really want to go back into passion projects, and it's very difficult because ultimately for passion projects, you are not only giving up your free time, but you're essentially losing time that you can dedicate to actual work that you're getting paid for. But it's undeniable that the majority of your passion will go into your passion project. No pun intended. The best of yourself, the best of your craft, the best of your filming, the best of your editing, the best of your storytelling will go into your passion project because you are passionate about it. And why that's important is because when that video goes in your portfolio, potential clients can see that. Now, of course, again, the caveat is, and the challenge is, ensuring that it's not at the expense of the work that you're meant to be doing, of the work that you're being paid to do. It's not easy, it takes a lot of discipline, but I think it's very important because of the reasons I mentioned. And also, one thing I will say is that it's very therapeutic. You know, us as freelance filmmakers, we are ultimately, at the end of the day, artists. As an artist, it's important that you, once in a while, just stretch your muscles. Just do things for the hell of it. Just do things for fun. Do things that are weird. Do things that are outside your comfort zone. All that is to say, take your camera everywhere, even if it's super heavy like mine. Hope you enjoyed that. That was just a reflection that I wanted to share today. I would love to hear your thoughts. How do you balance, you know, your passion projects and your work as a freelancer, as a freelance filmmaker? And let me know what passion projects you're working on. I'd love to hear it myself. If you did like this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. I'll be posting a video every single Monday, so hopefully we'll see you again next week. Take care.